What is the main message you all are trying to get out?
The main message that we're trying to get out is that we have established an organized retail theft task force. It is a collaboration of many different jurisdictions of law enforcement, that we take this extremely seriously, that we are going to apprehend the culprits who are doing these crimes, and that we are going to prosecute them to the fullest. We wanted to show the collaboration. We wanted people to know that the Glendale Police Department was there, the sheriffs was there, many other agencies and leaders are involved in the task force. The individuals that were there today were talking about what is happening with the specific crimes that took place in their jurisdiction.
You know, what went through your mind when you first looked at those videos?
Well, you know what? I mean, I had flashbacks to the end of 2021. I was just very concerned. I mean, when the first one happened, you know, you're sitting there with your fingers crossed. This is a one-off. Then we had the second and the third. And so what I want to be very clear about is that we're not going to sit back and allow this to continue. We are going to move forward, just as happened before I was in this position in 2021. Many of the same individuals were able to bring the smash and grabs as well as the follow home robberies to a halt in 2021. And we are going to do the same thing in 2023.
Why do you think this is happening now? Do you think the folks involved with this think there aren't consequences?
You know what? No, I know a lot of people have looked at the policies, whether it's Proposition 47 or the no bail policies. These crimes do not fall anywhere near those decisions. And so these are robberies. These will be prosecuted as felonies. The items that were sold in some cases were worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. And so this in no way, shape, or form is connected to the policies that are controversial, that should be evaluated, but they're really not connected. The other thing that I want to raise, Elex, is that if you're stealing a $15,000 purse, trust me, you're not selling that purse in a neighborhood. You're selling that purse online. And I think we need to look at all actors in this crime, and we need to look at the online platforms that are essentially receiving stolen goods and are a part of this.
I just want to make this point very clear. When you say accountability, do you mean prison time?
I mean, absolutely, I mean prison time.
Yeah.
But again, I want to look at all of the actors. And, you know, if somebody goes online, and I say this to your listeners, if you go online and you see a Gucci bag that you know goes for $15,000 on sale for $5,000 or $6,000, it should raise your eyebrows. Either it's a knockoff or it's a stolen. Either one is a problem, and you shouldn't participate in that. But I do believe the platforms need to be held accountable as well.
In terms of the concept of a task force, that's very much in line with everything else you're doing in terms of locking arms on a lot of different fronts. Can you talk about the importance of doing this as a region instead of just as a city?
Right. And I also want to be clear that this is a task force of law enforcement. This is not the mayor's task force, but it is absolutely consistent with my perspective, which is you have the sheriff, you have the CHP, you have obviously LAPD. Today, we had the chief of police from Glendale, because again, the law enforcement officers that were there today were reporting on the very specific crimes in their area. Sheriff Luna was there because one crime took place in the unincorporated areas of East LA. So in many times, these actors are the same. And so they might have committed a crime in Glendale, but it might be the same crew that commits a crime in West LA or in an unincorporated area. So that's the importance of bringing people together. Most of the problems that we face are not just in one jurisdiction. They cross boundaries. And so to me, the best way to solve the crimes, the best way to address our problems is to bring everybody impacted to the table.
So it was pointed out, L.A. County District Attorney George Gascon was not there. Was he invited?
Well, again, we only invited 5 individuals to speak who were addressing the very specific crimes as well as the task force. We had the leader of the task force and the officers there reporting on the specific crimes. Our purpose today was to talk about the task force and the crimes. That's why the individuals that were there, we could have had many more individuals there in addition to the DA.
But his role is pretty important in this whole thing, right?
His role is important. The CHP's role is important. The city attorney's role is important. The chief of Beverly Hills, all of those roles are important.
Are you confident that DA George Gascon will prosecute these people to the full extent of the law?
I have not talked to the DA, but I don't have any reason to think that he wouldn't. Again, where people focus is on the policies that are not applicable to these crimes.
Meaning these crimes are so big that
Exactly.
it wouldn't be some of the smaller stuff. Okay.
Exactly. These are not crimes that would be impacted by the policies that are very controversial.
And lastly, on the topic of the police themselves, you want to expand the force, you want to give raises, you want to give incentive pay, which I know some folks applaud and some folks on the left think is not a good approach going forward. What is your basic take when it comes to police on the streets in terms of solving some of these crimes?
Well, I think I have been consistent in saying that my number one job is to keep Los Angeles safe. And so for the first time in more than 20 years, we have dropped below 9,000 officers. And so when I put my budget forward, I said I wanted to increase the force back to what I think is the appropriate numbers for a city as large as ours. We just finished negotiating a contract that the LA City Council will vote on next week. That contract calls for $15,000 incentive pay so that we can recruit officers. And let me compare it to Alameda County. Alameda County, or I really shouldn't say this, but Alameda County is offering an incentive bonus of $75,000. We need to increase our police department. And so having the incentive pay, raising the salary so we can be competitive, and also having bonuses so officers don't retire early, retention bonuses is one of the factors to keep Los Angeles safe. But you also know, Elex, that I have called for preventing crime and have invested a lot of resources in our Office of Community Safety so that we don't even have to be talking about the arrests, our task forces. We can address communities and individuals that are at risk or who have histories that we want to make sure that they reintegrate into their community and do not fall back into criminal behavior. So addressing crime when it happens and stopping it, but also investing the resources so the crimes never take place to begin with. A comprehensive approach in the nation's second largest city is what is required.